Hello, and welcome to another episode of I Want to Believe You.
We're two skeptics out to discover the truth behind your paranormal claims.
Real stories from real people with real experiences.
I want to believe you.
Do you? We are your hosts, Doug and Becky.
Thank you for joining us for episode 7. Today, as always, we've got some videos, photos, and stories to go through with you guys.
So we'll go ahead and jump right into videos. Starting out with our first one for you, we have a little background story for you. It starts out with saying, "Strange things happen in my 90-year-old grandmother's home. Light orb caught on camera triggers the hallway sensor light. This has been happening more and more. I have multiple videos. Can anyone help explain?"
Okay.
Maybe we can. Let's check it out.
We might be able to. We only have one video though, right?
Only one video, but we'll see. Let's take a look. So right away we can tell that this is it looks like the stairway leading upstairs, a hallway going to what looks like a living room. Kind of looks like there might be some sort of bedding, but that looks like a couch, probably a sofa.
Yeah, I think it just covers sheets on the sofa.
Yeah, and then we also have what appears to be another room here, another hallway.
Probably the kitchen.
All right, so they say that something triggered something here to turn some lights on.
I can also see a chairlift.
Can you? Oh yeah, right here.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that started moving?
That would be insane.
You just see a little ghost sitting on it.
He did say something about a 90-year-old grandmother, so that makes sense for this
Yeah,
to be
it does
here.
make sense.
So let's check it out. Let's go ahead and push play.
See a little bit of, there you go. Woo!
Yep.
First little bit of the day. On comes the light.
Looks like it went from the infrared to standard lighting.
Mm-hmm. So that was weird.
That is weird, yeah.
That's all they've got.
That was the whole thing. Let's watch it one more
That's the
time.
whole thing.
Let's see.
Yeah,
So you see an orb. I mean, that was kind of strange how that orb even came into the focus. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. And then nothing happens after the light.
Yeah, it doesn't look
comes
like
on.
anything else. So it is kind of weird though that this orb comes around, pops up, and then the light turns on.
Like it's a dead circle.
I mean, I don't know if that's just coincidence, but I couldn't tell you what turned that light on.
She might have a cat.
A cat, yeah,
She
an
might have a
animal,
dog.
a pet. It did cut off early, so it doesn't show what happens afterwards.
Yeah, someone just walks out of that room. It's just
somebody, and it would be funny because the coincidence of the orb popping up here, the light turns on. So the light turning on to me isn't super paranormal, like you said, cat, person, anything could have triggered that to turn on. What's paranormal to me was that orb, because we've seen footage that claimed to have orbs in them that were actually like dust or what we thought was a bug. And I've said it in the past, like what would convince me would be if something if it appeared and then moved around, and that looked like to me clearly like it appeared in the middle of the screen.
yeah, it did.
So on a paranormal scale, the light, I'm gonna have to say 0, only because the video didn't play long enough for us to see what could have been in that room. If the video would have went on for a little while longer, nothing came out of this room. Not that I know where this room leads or anything, but it might have helped convince me that something else triggered that light. But for the orb, being that it was just so strange the way it was and its nature, I'd probably give that like a 4 out of 10.
A 4.
Yeah.
Damn.
What about you?
Like I said, I don't give the light any paranormal factor because that could be absolutely anything. The orb, I'd give a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
Well, low scores, but I mean, there was at least something there, something for us to keep our eyes on.
Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, please.
So that was an interesting video. The next video we have for you today, they're questioning a red orb. So we'll go ahead and have a look at that and see if it is in fact an orb or is it a bug?
We'll see.
Or dust.
We'll see. Could be anything with these orb claims. So now that we brought the video up, we can see that this is obviously like an outdoor cam, looking like it might be aimed at their garden. The thing about the outdoor cameras is that orbs, it could be anything. I think we've only seen, in my opinion, one video of orbs with an outdoor camera, or maybe two, that really convinced that was pretty convincing of the paranormal. It's just so easy to debunk it as dust or a bug.
Yeah, especially from the outside, because there's loads of bugs outside.
Right. The indoor ones, you know, it's harder to debunk those. The outdoors, there's just too many elements to it. But let's take a look.
Especially here, because you can see there's already like a bright light, so obviously bugs are going to be attracted to it.
Yeah, you can see that this area is lit up, and bugs at night, we all know.
You can already kind of see an orb shape in the top.
Yeah, kind of right here. That's kind of like the like a light shining from it. I was trying to explain in that one picture of the orb for a couple episodes ago, where it looked like it was reflecting off the lens, and how sometimes the reflections do look like orbs. So let's take a look. We'll check it out.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, here we go. Yep, right here.
I completely missed that. Oh.
It just disappears in the light.
There we go.
The way it moves is interesting. We can see the other bugs flying around, and you can kind of compare the orb to the bugs. You can tell it's definitely different than the bugs flying around it. It disappears there. It is interesting though. It definitely looks closer to the camera than the rest of the bugs, in my opinion.
Definitely kind of has like a bug kind of.
Yeah, it's moving across like in a way that does look very bug-like. It's transparent though. When it enters this area here, if you look, and you can kind of see through it.
Transparent the whole way.
Yeah, it, like disappears through there. I mean, it's still there, but.
But then if it's a tiny little red bug, remember you talking about them in the garden the other day? Those little red bugs that are bright red.
Yeah, we've seen them. Yeah, it could be something like that.
And it's so small that when it's trying to focus on it, it just blurs around the edge.
Yeah, but just pixelates big time. Yeah.
But then if it was right on the lens, I don't know. I feel like you'd see more of a solid shape than everything being transparent.
You would think that you would see something in there that was solid, and then the rest of it was pixelated. But yeah, so let's check it again.
Here he comes.
Here he is. It just does have this. It's so weird. It's like moving in a wave shape, but it definitely looks like the movement of a bug. It's easily, I think, in my opinion, it's too easy to debunk it as a bug. Its movements just seem too natural.
Well, let's just say that it is red orb. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's just say that this is something paranormal that we can't explain. So, I was a bit intrigued about these orbs that we're hearing so much about lately. As I keep saying, we're new to this, so we're doing a lot of investigating and research. So I decided to look up what different coloured orbs meant. And what would you associate a red orb with?
Red. Mean?
Right? So you would. Anger?
Anger, yeah.
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 But apparently, red in the paranormal world, or the psychic world, is to do with protecting. And apparently, paranormal investigators link that to the red/orange colour being a protector.
Oh.
Someone that looks over you. And they say that it's potentially like someone like a caretaker or a nurse or something like that in their past life.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Well, this camera's in luck. It's got something looking out for it. I'm intrigued by that too. It's just like that green aura or the orb that we've seen in that one photo. I would have sworn that had to do with nature, but it had to do with it had to do with something completely opposite. Yeah, the colors, those definitely throw you off. But it's interesting to learn about that stuff, definitely. As for this one, I have a hard time saying that was an actual orb from the get-go. To claim that it's a bug, even because it's hard to prove that it's a bug as well. The only evidence I have that it's a bug is the movements just kind of look natural to me, like a bug.
Yeah.
Exactly like a bug.
Like it wriggled around.
Yep. Just the pattern, So on a paranormal scale, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because it was transparent and it's hard to explain what would have caused that. I'll say maybe a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like, again, the orbs are a strange one. We've seen a few convincing orb videos, but again, I feel like this one could have been a bug.
Yeah, and I will say the only reason I'm giving it a 2 out of 10 is because the video at least did have bugs flying around, so it was easy to try to compare it to the other bugs. But it just wasn't enough. I don't feel like it was like a spear or a ghost or anything like that.
No.
So I'm gonna keep it in the realm of normal and not paranormal. But maybe we might just have a picture with some paranormal evidence. Let's check it out.
Let's hope so. So, the picture that we're going to show you is from a very reliable source. It was sent in by Michael. We do have a little bit of information about this picture before we show it to you. So he used to own a pub, and this pub was supposedly haunted. We have a bit of background story about this pub for you.
Yep, and I'll fill you in on that right now. So the pub does have a history of paranormal activity. We did go on a website and look up the history of this pub. It does go on to say, and the pub was called the Swan. Okay, so the Swan always been more than just a watering hole for thirsty locals. Situated on Mill Lane within the Clewar Village area of Windsor, it's a leisurely 20-minute walk from the Windsor Castle. The Swan dates from the 18th century, and during its long history has served as a coaching inn and a courthouse. It's also been known variously as the Swan Inn and the Swan Hotel too. According to local folklore, there's a tunnel linking the Swan to the local church of St. Andrew's. There is a debris-filled hole within the pub which is claimed to be the entrance. Whether this is true or one of the Victorian pranks common in Windsor is unclear. Around the 1870s, the coroner held inquests and post-mortems at the Swan for those who had drowned in the nearby Thames. It is said that the last journey of those unfortunate souls was through the tunnel to the church.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, they did mention that it may have been folklore, but there were claims of drownings, and the Thames is right there.
So, when Michael sent in the picture, obviously I said he used to own the pub. He was a co-owner with one of his friends, and as mentioned, is a hotel and a bed and breakfast. So, he says that I was sleeping upstairs by myself. No one was in the pub. No one at all. Just him on his own. I heard footsteps walking past my bedroom. About 2 weeks later, the same thing happened to my mate. The pub was an old morgue. So that's what they were told when they bought the pub in the first place. There was a tunnel that used to go to the church. I think my nan took a picture where the tunnel was, and in the picture there were faces. There was a bloke staying in the B&B. He was getting changed and thought he caught an old lady watching him get changed in the room opposite. But there was no one staying in that room.
So, I mean, he mentioned that they were told it was an old morgue, which kind of adds to the idea from the pub's history that, they would bring in drowning victims from the Thames. So those two stories, completely different stories from different sources. It kind of links up right there. So
yeah,
that kind of helps give some credibility to the stories.
And I can confirm, when this pub was bought previously, I went there when it did need renovations doing to it, and I've seen the tunnels, and they were very spooky. Upstairs where the bedrooms are were very spooky, and as a skeptic, even when I was younger, I was more of a skeptic than I am now. So it was very spooky, and you could see the tunnels, so they do exist.
So, witness right here of the tunnels. That's awesome. I'm pretty stoked to see what he may have captured. So let's just dive right into the images now, and let's see what he caught. Okay, so from what I can see, we're looking at the face of the building. We can clearly see that it is the Swan. There's a sign up here to the right.
Can confirm I've been
Can
there.
confirm. We can't see the, but we see swan. So I can only assume that first word is the.
Mm-hmm.
And it does look like a creepy building.
Yeah. So 18th century. That's awesome.
And which is awesome, yeah.
I feel like around Windsor, near Windsor Castle, there's a lot of history there. So
I mean, you can, as soon as you walk into that village area, you can just feel the history. You can see it. It's just, everything's super old.
It's like stepping back in time, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the castle itself is like 1,000 years old, and then you can just imagine everything around it's just as old, you know. And it's very historic. It definitely is. Like where I'm from, there's nothing like that. So it's it's awesome.
So you can see the bottom is the pub, and at the top there is the bed and breakfast.
Okay. Yep. You can see that.
Looking directly at the image, you can see exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, right here in the middle. I mean, my eyes have been on it since we opened the image.
Mm-hmm.
If you zoom in here, you can actually see what appears to be an apparition in the window. Do you see that?
Oh yes, it's creepy.
Yeah, it's right there. Now, is it an apparition? I don't know, but you can see it without even zooming in. So it's definitely spooky. Given the history of the place, with people claiming to have felt like they were being watched, especially from that upstairs area, that is spooky. I mean, to catch something like that, especially just from standing outside. Now, having mentioned that it does look spooky and that you can see it even when it's zoomed out, to me it doesn't look like a humanly figure. It just looks like something abnormal.
You don't think? I can see a face and hair and eyes and a mouth.
Where?
So the hair is here.
Show me.
You see? This is the hair. This is the face. Eyes, mouth, neck, shoulder. You don't see that?
I see what I do see what you're
It's
saying.
like she's tilting her head.
I do see what you're saying. To me, it kind of looks like something from like a Tim Burton movie.
Well, yeah, but you know, it's quarantine. Ghosts can't get out to the beauty salons.
It's true. I mean, regardless of my opinion on what it looks like, it's still prominently there, and it doesn't look like it belongs there.
Well, I think it looks even better zoomed out than it does zoomed in.
When you zoom in, it does kind of lose, like it's too focused. I think maybe it pixelates a
It
little.
pixelates, yeah.
It pixelates just a little bit.
Because this was an old photo taken. He probably owned this pub about 7 years ago. So this photo was actually taken as a screenshot on a phone from another picture.
And again,
So-
I'll clarify, it does not look natural. Like whatever it is, regardless of the shape, it doesn't look like it belongs there. It definitely doesn't look like the blind. It doesn't look like a curtain. It doesn't look like it belongs in the window at all. It's very spooky.
I always wondered about so you take that picture, it's very clear. You probably would have seen that as you was taking it on the building. Perhaps.
That's true. Yeah.
Why is it that cameras pick up like apparitions, but us with human eyes don't see it?
I mean, my only explanation would be that the lights around it. You have the light on the sign here. You got lights lining the entire, the roof. My only explanation would be that it might have been a reflection from one of the lights. Not saying that that's what it is, but it might have been without the camera, like you were saying. With the camera, it seems like you see more. Without the camera, it seems like you would have spotted that. Well, maybe it was just without the camera, it just looked totally natural. It was just a reflection. He didn't even notice it. Took the picture. When he went home and looked at it, he was just kind of like, "What the hell is that?"
Mm.
I mean, that's the only way I can see that. Or maybe cameras do pick up things that we just don't see.
Well, I think it looks spooky.
You know what? I think I've just discovered something about this image.
What?
And this just goes to show we have no bias. I mean, this is a reliable source, but I'm looking at this now, and I'm going to zoom back in. It totally, to me, looks like the reflection of this.
Your abs. Your 100%. That's what it is.
Do you see it?
You nailed it.
So it's been debunked. That's not a ghost.
That's so funny.
That's what we're here to do, you know what I mean? We're not just here to just accept the stories. I'll admit when something looks spooky and don't belong there, and I was right. That image does not belong here. That's why it was so spooky, but that's what it is. You can tell, like, look, right here, you see the top of the sign.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, right here, you can see
the beak.
You can see the beak, which is something you can't even see in this picture because of the light. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. So maybe even he might feel better about that being debunked, knowing that that whatever was in this image anyway wasn't what was watching him.
You fucking nailed it.
Yeah, see?
You got it.
See, so even though we do get submissions sometimes from people that we know, we're not just accepting these things. Like, we're doing our homework. We're looking.
Well, yeah. Like, I wouldn't have noticed that, but like I said, I would just assume that it was creepy. But
yeah, I mean,
100%. That's what it is.
You look at it and you can
bird.
see it. It's the bird. It's literally the sign.
The beak.
The beak. If you look at the reflection here, see the legs. You can see it right here.
That's the funniest thing ever.
Yep.
I cannot wait to go back and show him. Like, look at this.
Yeah, and it's not a thing about proving people wrong. It's more of like kind of showing them like look, here's what it actually was. But that doesn't take away from the experiences that he had in the building.
Oh yeah.
Just because this one thing was debunked doesn't mean the other stories were not legit. I mean, this place has a lot of history. A lot of stuff went on here. It's been confirmed that they did have bodies in this place. They were using it as a morgue for drowning victims from the Thames. So it doesn't really take away from the rest of it. This is just one picture that he sent in. I'm sure if he would have had a camera rolling or like security footage while he was hearing or had other experiences, we'd have way more compelling evidence. This place just has such a rich history that this isn't enough to debunk the idea that the place does have paranormal stuff going on in it.
I was saying earlier, it's such a shame we're on lockdown at the minute because this is literally around the corner from us. We could pop in, stay there the night, and see if we caught anything. Which, now that we have this, and because I completely forgot about this whole thing, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, that place was supposedly haunted. So it would be good to go back there and stay the night and see if we could capture anything.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I mean, this is the prime areas that we want, you know, something rich with the history of the haunting, and again, it's local to us, so
I can't unsee the bird in the window now.
Yeah, at first it was really easy to see.
You ruined it again for me.
I'm not trying to ruin it. I'm just I can't believe I seen that. I was with you. I said that it was something abnormal there, and in a way I was right, but I was thinking paranormal at first, and yeah, no, you can see that it's just a reflection from the sign. That's why when a building has a lot of lights like this, when you see things in reflections, you got to really look.
And you did. You nailed it.
Got it.
Like I said, I was experiencing that thing where something looks like a face, but now you said it's a reflection of the sign. I can only see a bird.
Yeah, I can actually see now. I can see the sign in the reflection.
It looks like a bird.
Didn't at first, but now I see it. So yeah, I mean, debunked that picture, but the stories they're there. And I mean, it's not just his stories; it's his story.
So thank you so much, Michael, for sending that in to us. It was a very creepy picture.
It was, yeah.
Unfortunately, debunked. But again, can confirm the history of the pub is haunted, and you know, there's some creepy stuff that goes on there. We do want to stay there one night and see if we can capture anything ourselves.
That'd be awesome.
It would be really cool if we could get that other picture from the tunnels with the faces.
That would be awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and move on. Again, thank you, Michael. We're going to move on to the other photo that we have for you guys today. This one seems pretty interesting and also has a little bit of a background. I'll go ahead and give that to you right now. They said, my best friend and I took this back around 2010, so 10 years ago.
I feel like that doesn't sound that long ago, but I'm like, whoa, it's 10 years ago.
It's surprising, yeah. I mean, I can remember 2010 like almost like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We freaked out when we saw what was between us in the second picture, and it looks as if it's vanishing in the last two pictures. Okay, so there's going to be a picture with several pictures in it here. Alright, so we have the picture pulled up. This is pretty interesting. It is exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was a picture booth, multiple photos. Let's take a look at what they were talking about. She mentioned the second photo between their heads, and I can right off rip immediately see something that looks like a face, kind of. I'll zoom in on it.
Oh, it's there.
It's there. Doesn't look exactly like a human face, more like a mask to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a mask.
Like a big smile, small eyes. Yeah.
It's definitely something though. Could be a light anomaly, just shadows.
Could be the reflection off of her face on the right.
Could be, yeah, because if you look, it is kind of looking in the same angle.
There's probably so many lights in that photo booth.
There are, yeah, and you can actually tell by all the shading and where the lights are on their face. It was probably, or either that or just big flashes, which were causing all sorts of shadows. Let's go down and look and see, though, if we can find anything else from any other photos in this. Because they mentioned that it looks like it's fading away. But let's take a look. Now, in the third one, the one down, it doesn't look like there's anything there.
I can see a little skull in the middle, but that is just a bit of light.
I do see what you're saying, but I don't think that they were... That's interesting. Maybe that's something they didn't even know about. But I do see that, yeah.
I don't think it's anything, but it does
I
look
don't
like
think.
a little skull.
But when we move down, it almost appears to be something that they might have described as the face fading away. Not to me, though. It looks like the Flash again. And like you said, though, if you look, her face is more straight on this time, and there's nothing. See how in the image prior, she was kind of looking that direction. See what I mean?
Yeah.
When you go back down to that fourth image here, she's looking straight on. There's definitely a flash still there. I feel like it may have been a combo of her face and maybe even her shadow giving way to that. It's definitely still creepy. And then you got her hair coming down over here that kind of gives it the whole look like it might have had a head of hair or something, in my opinion. But it's interesting. What'd the first photo look like?
Nothing in the first one.
And her head's completely turned that time. But at the same time, you don't see the big flash in the middle either at all.
No, it's weird. You do see one flash there go up again. There's like a little,
And then right here?
little spermy looking thing.
Yeah, like right next to her cheek here.
Yeah, maybe that's his finger coming in like.
Yeah. Fingers first. Weird, yeah.
But then they're further apart, so maybe the flash is making more shadows than it is light.
Maybe. It definitely has a face kind of figure here. I mean, in the second one, I see what they were talking about, and it's creepy. I'd be pretty spooked. I'd be pretty spooked if that was me, you know. It's like, was this ghost just trying to kiss me?
Trying to tell you a secret.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I can see that.
This
Yeah,
looks happy, you know.
it does. It's almost like he was like in on the picture, or she, or whatever. Like I'm here.
With his arms around both of them, like.
Yeah. I'm so happy we decided to do this, guys. Yeah, that's interesting.
Dumb and Dumber as well. That to me looks like the flash going off behind them.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Because in the first picture, maybe it's not as like. Maybe it's like, right, this is your first one. Get ready for the rest of the pictures.
Yep, probably. Like a countdown kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. And they were far apart, so maybe it didn't.
That's strange. And again, it could have been just the way they were sitting, you know? Could have played a role. She doesn't, on the left, she doesn't look like she moved too much throughout this whole thing. She looks like she's like, I gotta get this profile picture, this is my good side. Where this one over here on the right was just kind of like, I don't even give a fuck. It's not convincing to me. It's definitely kind of like it has a spooky factor. Like I said, if it was me, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? I mean, that would be my first question. Like, do you see what I'm seeing? And then you would probably be like, yeah, I see it. You know, because it's obviously there. But the fact that it's gone in the next couple pictures is just kind of, just makes me think that it was the lighting. And then the way their shadows were casting behind them. What do you think?
Well, I was saying about the light shining off of the girl on the right's face, but then if a light was shining on your face this way to cast something behind you, it wouldn't take your features
It wouldn't, no.
like that at all.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. But
It could have been a glitch in the photo booth. It's like she's looking this way in the first one, and she laughs and she moves.
Yeah.
And
she
it
could have moved and
captures her face from the first one.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like she could have been like, "Oh, that's so funny," and she leans into her friend, laughs at her, and then moves back for the second picture.
Yep. Because I mean.
Because she's doing. It has the same
true.
sort of facial features. Not to say anything bad about this. She's very, she's very pretty.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying though. Like she could have been leaned in and then was like.
Yeah, she's
you know
like,
what I mean?
like, oh, we missed the first one. That was so funny.
Yeah,
and
taking,
like that.
laughing about it.
And
that's true.
as it's
yeah.
taken, bam, her face is there a little bit.
I think maybe that's what it is. Because I can totally see it now. I can see it. See how her hair's here?
Mm.
Look in this.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like definitely her hair.
It has the same kind of smile too.
The same kind of smile.
You see where the smile line is?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think she was leaned in, then before the photo actually like completely snapped, she moved back, and it just kind of.
And they're laughing about like, oh, we almost missed it again.
Yep.
Because they're quick,
And as you can see, like in this last one, you're right, they're fast too, and you can kind of see it's almost like the movement in this one as well, like where she pulled away, and they got actually the last one they were like, okay, let's be serious, we paid money for this, give it your all. So, wow. Interesting, but I think debunked.
Yeah. Again.
All right, so those photos were pretty interesting. I mean, they were intriguing to me anyway. If you guys have any opinions, please let us know. We're going to go ahead and move on to stories now.
So, our story submission today is from Candice. She's actually a very good friend of mine, back from my Twitch days. I say that like it was long ago, but it wasn't. She is a Twitch streamer, so if you do want to check her out, I will leave her link in the description below. Please do. She's very entertaining and she's a brilliant gamer as well, so check her out. Okay, so this is what she has to say. So she's actually sent us a few stories from her experiences over the years, which makes me kind of feel like she has something attached to her, which has always fascinated me. You know?
It's very interesting, yeah.
So the first story she sent says, she's titled it, My Grandmother's House, My Childhood Home. And she's also said, Reasons Why I Always Sleep with Socks On. Interesting. I remember when I was little, can't remember the exact age. I was laying in bed one night and felt someone or something run its finger on the sole of my foot. Oh. I was fully awake at the time, and I was alone in my room. Since then, I have never felt safe without socks covering my feet. This also started my fear of the dark. This was also my first experience.
Okay, well, I'll start off with saying I've done that before. I usually sleep without socks, but I've felt like I was touched on several occasions, especially when I was sleeping, like something had touched me and woke me up. Not so much on my feet though. That's probably why I still sleep without socks on. But that's so crazy. Yeah, I can imagine that would spook me so bad that I'd probably wear shoes to bed.
It's like the whole thing, like a lot of people have in their mind, like if they poke a leg out, they're like, oh, monster's gonna get me. You have to poke it back in again, Yeah,
but if you actually felt like a finger or something running down the sole of your foot, that would scare the shit out of me. Like,
oh yes,
there's not even a doubt about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would as well be throwing my socks forevermore since that experience.
My feet would never see the light of day again.
Like you said, I'll be in my fucking New Rocks.
That's spooky.
This is just the beginning of a whole, chain of experiences.
Let's see what else she's. Let's move on and see what else she's.
This is exciting.
It's pretty exciting. Like that first one, it was short but sweet. Got right to the point, and
again, it's from a long time ago, so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've had my own experiences from a long time ago that have stuck with me. I'm sure they have altered the way I live my life in some way or another. She has another story here that she titled Christmas. So this one here should be jolly and spooky. She said, one Christmas.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
The very next day, you scared it away.
Sorry, Kurt.
Okay. She says, one Christmas, when I was in my teens, I was standing in the kitchen eating what was left of my Grand's shrimp starter. Did I say that right? Grand's shrimp
Grand's,
starter?
like,
Okay.
like a nan. Grandmother.
Oh, like Grand's. Yeah,
grandmother.
grandmother. Okay. Like my grandma's.
Your
Or what I would say.
grandma's.
My grandma's shrimp starter.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I was facing the back door when I saw what looked like a solid shadow fly from the pantry straight out the back door, which also opened and closed as that thing went out. Oof. I like imagine that. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
My heart sank into my stomach and I couldn't believe what I had just seen. I approached the back door, which I found was locked, and went outside to see if I could see anyone. I did not. I was alone in the kitchen at the time, and everyone else was still sitting at the dining table. I went back into the house and walked into the dining room and bumped into my stepdad in the doorway. I told him what I had seen, and he told me he had also seen strange things around the house.
Whoa.
So, confirmation.
Yep.
One afternoon after school, my friend and I were hanging out in my room chatting. We were both sitting on my bed, and we had a clear view of my bedroom door that was open. We could see both sides of the door. As we were chatting, the door handle moved all the way down and flipped back up, like someone pulled it down and let it go.
What?
We both saw it. Okay, so to say, we both saw it, looked at each other, and ran out the room. I would have too. I would have at least like froze for a minute, been like, yeah, you seen that too? Let's get the fuck out of here.
Well, I might have been leaving the room.
Maybe. Sure. My grandmother was having a nap at the time, and there was no one else in the house. My friend and I still talk about that to this day.
Again, credibility. Two witnesses.
Two witnesses, yeah, that helps. That helps.
Ooh.
Wow, strange. This story continues. Another night in my bedroom, I was struggling to sleep, as it was a warm night, and I always had to sleep with the blanket up over my neck out of fear of the dark. I decided I was being silly, and I was too old to be afraid of the dark, so I pulled the blankets down around my waist. I was laying on my side facing the wall. Not long after that, I felt hands on my hips and shoulder and felt someone leaning over me.
What?
I instantly turned around and saw no one. There was always a light on in the hallway at night, so I had a clear vision of my room and doorway. My grandmother was asleep in her room. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night and still sleep with the covers over my neck. Understandably so.
I would probably have my whole head underneath them.
Another evening, after dinner, I was in my room and decided to get up and get some ice cream. I came back into my room and both my bedroom windows were wide open. The windows had been closed and latched. I closed them and securely latched them again. Feeling strange, I walked out and down the passage and back to my room again to find the windows wide open again. This happened 3 times that night.
What? Oh, I'm so jealous. I wish something like this would happen to me, you know?
Right? Like, she's obviously lived in a very active place.
That's awesome. I'd love some backstory behind the building, you know?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wonder how old that place was.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of things happened there. What kind of people lived there.
She said it was her grandmother's place, so
Yeah.
if she'd lived there her whole life, then potentially it's quite an old building.
Let's see.
But...
Let's take a look. Let's just see if she said anything in here. I don't recall.
I don't think she did.
Yeah, but that's crazy. That's so spooky. Yeah. Especially like closing the windows, latching them. I mean, we had a story prior to this about a guy who he walked out to his truck, the 75-yard walk to his truck, and came back, and his doors were all wide open and the windows were open, and the only thing I could think was he didn't lock the windows and someone broke into his house. But she clearly states that she latched the windows securely, so
Yeah.
the only way the windows could be open is if somebody then walked in the room after she left, was like, we need to open these windows, and opened them for her. But
I also feel like these kind of hauntings are like, if haunting is the right word, they're always the ones that are the bad spirits that move things. The good spirits don't touch anything.
right.
Why is that? Do you think it's because they don't want to spook anyone, or?
That's a good question. I mean,
It is.
maybe. I mean, like, if I did die and realized I was a spirit, and you know, I realized I could communicate with my loved ones. The last thing I'd want to do is communicate and then be fucking terrified of me. That would make me feel like shit, you know? So I might approach it in a certain way. Maybe I wouldn't fling a window open, because they'd be like, I'm never sleeping in this room again, and, you know, it's like, how do you communicate? So if you were a smart ghost, you wouldn't do some shit like that, that's for sure.
But then if you had enemies...
Now, if you had enemies and you were there, yeah, of course, fling the goddamn window open,
I feel
run
like
your finger down the sole of their foot when they're sleeping, shit like that.
Yeah, you'd be very petty though, wouldn't you?
That would be petty, but when you're a ghost...
So, very spooky, that story there.
Yeah.
But there's more! It's exciting stuff. So, she's titled My Dad's House. And she says, one afternoon, I was sitting in my cousin's bedroom playing on her PC. That's my girl. My dad and her brother were down the passage in the kitchen preparing food. Other brother was watching TV, and my stepmother was hanging up washing outside. Everyone else were not at home. So, as I was sitting there, I heard a girl whisper my name right behind me. I turned around. I didn't see anyone. I walked out and everyone was going about their business. I walked outside to my stepmother. Before I could say anything to her, she smiled at me and said, "Oh, they're going to start talking to you now." I've heard that girl a few times. She only says hello and my name to me. Other people in the house have also had experiences with her. Ooh. Again, another place where it would be like interesting to know the home's background history and when it was built.
Super strange if it's saying your name. I mean, that would spook me. I mean, I've had my own experiences with hearing what I thought was a spirit or a ghost in my own time. Like I've heard not my name, but I've heard like things like hello, random, like just disembodied voices, seemingly, you know. TVs were on, but you know, you can tell when a sound's coming from a TV and when it comes from behind you. It's spooky. It's scary, you know. That's spooky. I don't know where to put that one. That's crazy.
I'm gonna be interesting to know the backstories behind these places, like the dad's house, the grandmother's house.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy.
Is it the same spirit or is it a different one?
Yeah, you being followed? We're gonna go on and move on to the last bit. This one she's titling My Aunt's Flat. My aunt stayed in a retirement village, and I used to spend the weekend with her from time to time. One night I was there, laying in bed. I opened my eyes to see a face of an old lady right in front of mine, as if someone was sitting on the floor next to my bed. My aunt was asleep behind me. I moved away from the edge of the bed, sat up, and it was gone. Yeah, especially it being a retirement village, so people, you know, go to these villages to spend the rest of their remaining days as comfortable as possible. And yeah, I'm sure whatever house they were staying in, flat in this case, had seen a few people, you know, come and go, which could have left some sort of residual thing there, maybe. Still, that would spook me. I've personally had experiences that were pretty similar. As for when it comes to seeing figures in the night, so it's always spooked me out. So, you know, these stories, you know, as a whole, you know, are pretty interesting. It seems to me like from her childhood on, she's had like experiences that I don't know if they like coincide with one another or if they're like, you know, individual cases, but being that it's been like a continuing thing, to me it seems like something may have been following her. I don't know if that's the case though. It's just very interesting to me. Being that like me, I've had my own experiences, but it wasn't like throughout my whole life. It was just like in one period of time, and they were all separate incidences. So very interesting. What do you think?
Does sound like something's been following her.
So yeah, I would say thank you for the submission. This is definitely like very interesting stuff. You know, doors flying open, windows opening. I mean, these are like all cases that are, you know, we've heard before, and they definitely reach out of the realm of normal. I mean, closing a window, latching it shut, leaving the room, coming back in, they're back open again, testing it, closing them again, latching them shut, coming back, and they're open again. That kind of stuff is very crazy, you know. Definitely out of the realm of normal. Touching the sole of your foot, that's just crazy. It would spook me. Again, like I said, I'd be wearing my shoes to bed. Yeah, it's interesting. And then hearing something say your name, that's on a whole nother level. That's super personal. That's scary. Like, I don't know how I would react to that.
So more like it builds up to it, like first the touching, then the moving of objects, and then the name, and then the actual seeing.
Yeah.
Apparition.
Yeah. It's almost like they were letting you know they were there the whole time. The flat incident, that would be crazy if it all added up and like it was the same spirit or the same ghost. That would be crazy. That's kind of what it seems like, though. It's been like an ongoing thing. So, you know, you'll have to let us know if like this stuff has been happening ever since too. Like even now, you know, definitely follow up with us. That's crazy. I would say it's spooky stuff. If I had to rate this on a paranormal scale, based off of the timeline, I would definitely give it like a 7 out of 10, like 7, 8 out of 10. Like it's worthy of that, being that we have several different incidences, and especially with personal incidences like saying your name, like that's crazy.
I would give it a 9 out of 10 because of all the different incidences and the confirmation from the friends staying in the bedroom and the mother-in-law, you know.
Yeah, the other
things.
The other sources definitely help give credibility. I mean, these are people who witnessed it as well, so that definitely helps set it in stone that it, you know, it's not just you that's seen it. My best friend's seen it, or my friend's seen it. I had a parent tell me that yes, things happen in this place. That just adds credibility. So that's crazy stuff. I would say that definitely it's in the realm of paranormal. So thank you again. Now, again, if you out there watching have any experiences of your own that you'd like to submit, along with any video or photo evidence, feel free to send it in to want2believeYou@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Facebook. You can contact us through comments or through Messenger, if that's what makes you comfortable. Again, if you like this video, please click like and please subscribe. We would really appreciate that. So again, if you have anything that can help lead us to the path of paranormal, to make it take us from maybe like a fantasy to a reality, please send it in, because the end goal of this entire thing is to believe in the paranormal, to accept it as a reality, because I want to believe you. Do you?
I want to believe you.